Welcome.
Welcome, everyone.
So if you're here, you've signed up for our masterclass.
Masterclass. I love the way that sounds.
I know. We love masterclass. What is it? What's our masterclass?
We're going to become the master of the top 10 things you must know the minute the pea hits the stick.
Which I had said to Jenny, does everyone understand what that means? Pea hitting the stick? I think if you're here, you know what it means. The minute the pea hits the stick, ding, 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 positive pregnancy test.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the minute you have a positive pregnancy test, what do you need to know? We're going to discuss that today. But first, if you don't know us, if you're not already part of our tribe on Tribe Called V, I'm Shiva Gofrani. I've been an OBGYN since 1999 and have had the luck, as I call it, to have had all of my own travails with women's health. I've had 6 miscarriages. I have 3 babies, endometriosis, weight loss issues my whole life, and then ovarian cancer. And I don't mean to say that smiling. I'm happy I've had all those experiences because I'm here to talk about it. And I'm here to help because our mantle at Tribe Called V is to increase your knowledge to decrease your anxiety.
Yep.
And with my partner, Jenny Hayes Edwards.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jenny, and I am an integrative nutrition health coach on the side. And I have teamed together with Shiva because 10 years ago, actually, no, it's 11 years ago now, I froze my eggs when I was 35. And I used those frozen eggs and got pregnant. A whole year ago, I had a baby. Shiva was my doctor, and we documented the whole thing. And we've used this platform to really help women understand all things women's health, pregnancy, all the things.
All the things. So our first offering was our live Zoom calls, which you will hear more about. And now our course, our self-paced course, is about to launch. So stay for the end because you're going to hear a really good offer that actually is only going to be available to the people who watch this masterclass.
Yes. So should we launch in?
Let's launch.
Let's do it.
The 10 things you need to know the minute the pea hits the stick.
Yes. I've got the visual.
Okay. Good. All right.
Okay. Number 10. You've missed your period. Now what? What happens?
I know. So the minute you've missed your period, right, which means if you had a period about 28 days ago, and just for convention's sake, we should remember, and if you don't know this, I want to teach you. We say that it is the first day of your last period, not the last day of your last period, the very first day you bleed of your last period. That is your first day of bleeding. We don't count the spotting at first. If you have a day or two of spotting and schmutz, but then you bleed, we count the first day of bleeding as the first day of your last period. Now, fast forward. It's been about 28, 30 days. You missed your period. You peed on the stick. Oh my gosh, you're pregnant. How far pregnant are you?
How many weeks? How do you count?
How do you count? Well, Jenny has heard me say this forever. First of all, we do count in terms of weeks, not months, because pregnancy is defined as 40 weeks from your first day of your last period. So that means on day 40 is considered your due date, your estimated date of delivery, right?
Right.
So that means the day you miss your period, you're actually called 4 weeks pregnant. I know that's confusing because you might be thinking, but I just got pregnant 2 weeks ago when I ovulated, and you are correct. But we have defined it again as 40 weeks from the first day of your last period. That's how long pregnancy is. And that means the day you miss your period, you are 4 weeks from your last period, which means you are 4 weeks pregnant. Now, why don't we just talk about from the day you've ovulated? Well, not every woman knows when she's ovulated. And frankly, even if you think you know when you've ovulated, a lot of data shows that we can be wrong about 25% of the time because each cycle might change. You might sometimes have a 28-day cycle and other months have a 35-day cycle. So when we say 4 weeks from your last period, which is the day you've missed your period, that's really if you have a 28-day cycle, okay? So the minute the pea hits the stick and you have a positive pregnancy test, if you've missed your period, you're how many weeks?
4.
4 weeks pregnant.
Which just, I know this sounds really silly, but if you are, you know how you often have to select a drop-down menu of how many weeks you are if you're filling a form in or something like that, you are not pregnant in weeks 1 and 2.
You're not pregnant weeks 1 and 2. I just had my period. It's just the first week. I'm not yet pregnant. It's the second week. I'm not yet pregnant. It's day 14 after I've had my period and I might be ovulating. I'm still not technically pregnant.
Right.
But the minute the sperm and the egg get together when I've ovulated, within a couple days, they burrow into the sidewall and then I'm kind of pregnant. But I don't know it yet until I've missed my period.
Yeah. And then it is 4 weeks.
4 weeks. Okay?
All right.
All right.
That answers that.
Next.
Okay. Number 9. So I happen to be a person that takes a lot of vitamins just because I'm a nutritionist. But there are a lot of people out there that don't take any vitamins. So the question I guess I have is, which one should you be taking? Are there vitamins you shouldn't be taking? what's the deal?
Yeah. Well, people tend to freak out. Oh my gosh, the pea hit the stick. I have a positive pregnancy test. Now I need to scramble and take a prenatal vitamin. Well, first of all, let's talk about the fact that prenatals and multivitamins are essentially close to the same thing. There's a little bit of marketing involved where women who are trying to get pregnant or are pregnant like the fact that it says prenatal. Is it better to have a prenatal, a multi, an over-the-counter, a prescription? The honest answer most of us tell our patients is the best one to take is the one that you will take regularly,
Right.
whether it's chewable or a gummy or one you swallow, whether it's prescription or over-the-counter, they're all the same with regard to quality because no one's actually really studying the quality of these. Let's remember that they are not regulated. What supplement do you absolutely need is folic acid. And it should say folic acid on whatever bottle you buy. It shouldn't say other forms of folate because those have not been proven to decrease the risk of what we're trying to decrease the risk of, which is spina bifida or something called neural tube defects. They are rare, so please don't be scared if you hear these words, but they are something that is very preventable because our country knows that it's preventable and our country knows that not everyone takes vitamins beforehand. Most of our grains are actually, they have folic acid already in them. So the good news is that because they fortified the grains, the likelihood, even if you don't take no medications before or no vitamins before, the likelihood is you're going to be okay. That said, if you know you're trying to get pregnant, ideally 3 months before you try to get pregnant, you start taking a multivitamin or just plain folic acid or a prenatal that says it has folic acid in it. The concern some people have is if I take a multivitamin, will there be too much of something else? And the honest answer is the only one you have to really avoid is over 10,000 IUs of vitamin A. But in almost all over-the-counter prenatal vitamins or multivitamins, there will be less than 10,000 IUs of vitamin A. So really rest assured, if you're just taking a multivitamin, you are fine. If you want to take a prenatal instead, go ahead. Ideally, you start these before you try to get pregnant, but if the day you have that positive pregnancy test you start, it's still probably valuable. First of all, because like we said, you have already been fortified with folic acid in your grains. Second of all, because the neural tube, which is your spinal cord, doesn't completely fuse until the next couple days after that positive pregnancy test. So don't despair, okay?
Excellent. Okay. Number 8. Okay, every time I'm perusing the aisles of the pharmacy, I see in the pregnancy test section big words like early test, 5 days before your missed period, all these things. What is the deal with these?
I have to tell you, I really, really try to discourage any of my patients from taking those really early pregnancy tests for a couple of reasons. You end up finding out you're pregnant almost too early. Anyone who's been pregnant knows that it is a time fraught with anxiety. And the minute the pea hits the stick, your mind is racing, your mind is ticking. And if all of a sudden now you found that out 5 to 7 days before you've even missed your period, a couple things can happen. One of which is you might end up having what's called a chemical pregnancy, meaning the egg and the sperm did get together and they started to burrow into the wall of the uterus and they did release the hormone HCG, which is what the pregnancy test is checking for. You pee on the stick, it's 5 to 7 days before you've even missed your period. Now you are already excited. You have planned your whole life with this little baby. And a couple days later, you have really heavy bleeding that you otherwise would just think was a heavy period. And that can be a sign, not always, but it can be a sign that you're having an early miscarriage or what we've called a chemical pregnancy because that pregnancy never got farther than just the egg and the sperm meeting. Now, the biggest question is, are these really miscarriages or not? And the answer is they really are legitimately miscarriages, meaning the pregnancy stopped growing. And emotionally, I would say they are miscarriages. But medically speaking, we don't worry about these as much because these do not imply that there is any concern in your systemic body for you being able to carry a pregnancy. So many women will say to me, I've had 3 chemical pregnancies, but that's often because they're checking very, very early. And so these are not pregnancies that likely would have progressed no matter what. So I don't want those to cause increased anxiety. So could you do an early pregnancy test? You absolutely could. Do I advise it? I would not. Yeah. I think it is too much information too early and that much more time for you to increase your anxiety. And we know our rule here is we want to increase your knowledge to decrease your anxiety.
Yes, makes perfect sense. Okay, number 7. I went on a bender and I had a little too much to drink. And then I found out I was pregnant.
Oh my gosh. I would never say, oh my gosh, to that. I would say, yeah, hear it all the time. I mean, the honest truth is, and we don't want to be jokey about alcohol because we know that some people truly have difficulty with not controlling their amount of alcohol intake, and that's something that we have to take seriously. But the honest answer is a huge number of pregnancies are unintended or unintentional pregnancies, which does not mean they're unwanted, but they're unintentional, which means you might not have been taking your vitamins, you might have been out on a bender, you might have had a couple glasses of wine or champagne or margaritas, and often that might be the time or the night that you in fact got pregnant unintentionally with your partner. Should you despair? The answer is no. The likelihood of you drinking that night and that causing harm to the developing fetus is incredibly small because those cells don't yet have any susceptibility to it. Now, once you know you're pregnant, of course, you should refrain from alcohol. And the American College of OB/GYN does have a pretty strict stance on saying there is zero amount of alcohol that is considered safe in pregnancy. So we would never advocate for you drinking, but we do know anecdotally and through some good data that millions of women got pregnant while they had been drinking. And for that 2 weeks that they did not know they were pregnant from ovulation until their missed period, they continued to drink and their babies are okay. So again, we're not advocating for drinking, but we are advocating for you not being scared or freaked out if you think you had a couple of drinks before you found out you were pregnant.
Okay, that's really good to know. I think there's a lot of women that are like, whoo!
That's right, right?
Number 6. Okay, so this is what I ate yesterday. A grande latte, a turkey sandwich with goat cheese, and sushi for dinner.
Oh my gosh.
Should I be freaking out?
Yes. No. I say this often, right? Never in the history of ever has freaking out helped. There are misconceptions abounding when it comes to what you can eat during pregnancy, and there are actually some pretty good, very strict guidelines with regard to what you are allowed and what you are not allowed to eat. Now, keep in mind, nothing is 100%. I've had patients who've called freaked out because one time they had one piece of a piece of chicken that wasn't very well cooked and they think that they're going to harm their pregnancy immediately. And the answer is it's so unlikely going to do that. So the 4 things that I try to really focus on with patients as far as food, outside of certain obvious things like don't eat raw chicken and don't eat raw beef, because those are things that we wouldn't normally eat anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But in pregnancy, where you have to limit yourself, are things that would preferentially harm the fetus over harming us as adults.
Mm-hmm.
For example, caffeine. Very good for us, very safe. There's actually a lot of good data that caffeine can help our brain, but for the developing fetus, there is a chance that it will increase the risk of miscarriages. And so we say that 200 to 300 milligrams of caffeine, which is like a grande from many of the stores that we buy our coffee at, or 1 cup of coffee in our home. So look up the caffeine content if you're really worried, but 200 to 300 milligrams of caffeine is okay. So your latte, you are fine. Many women actually suddenly stop their caffeine when they're pregnant, and then they develop intense headaches. And then they end up taking a lot of acetaminophen, and I would rather them have 1 cup of coffee a day because we know it's safe. Second, fish. Fish is one of those conundrums where people freak out and say, I can't eat fish. What are the rules? The rules can be very confusing, and I distill it down to the purpose of really limiting your fish is that mercury in high levels can be toxic for us and for the baby. And so you want to generally limit it to fish twice a week. And the secondary rules are you shouldn't have any fish that's high in mercury. For example, swordfish, something called tilefish, which I've never heard of. Tuna you can have, but it should be 1 of the 2 servings a week. And the biggest question people ask is, what about sushi? Interestingly, the clear statement from all of our governing bodies is that sushi is okay as long as you're eating fish that is sushi grade. You shouldn't have raw fish. For example, tilapia is not a sushi grade fish typically, so you wouldn't have raw tilapia. But if you're having raw salmon and a sushi grade salmon, then it is okay as long as it's in the 2 times a week, okay? On top of it, we know that fish is very high in omega-3s, which are good for not only our brain, but the developing fetus's nervous system. 3, cold cuts. People call me freaking out all the time. I was on an airplane and I had a turkey sandwich and oh my gosh. And the answer is listeria, which is a bacteria that can live in cold cuts, is something to be concerned about, but not something to be feared. The likelihood of getting listeria from the cold cuts is very small, and yet the guidelines are clear. You need to heat your cold cuts to steaming. Now, I think many patients say, that sounds gross. I'll just avoid the turkey sandwich.
Yes.
You do you, boo. But I think that if you had a panini press or you grilled it on top of the stove, you can actually create a really yummy, delightful sandwich. And so if you want to have your cold cuts, it's okay, but they should be heated to steaming. And then the last and probably biggest misconception is cheese. People also freak out about their brie, goat cheese, feta, brie, the soft cheeses. Patients call me freaked out and say, oh my gosh, I had them. Again, it's listeria. That's the bacteria that is in the soft cheeses that you do need to be concerned about, but those are in unpasteurized cheeses and things like unpasteurized cider. So in the fall, when people tend to go to these fall festivals, unpasteurized cider is something you need to be concerned about. That said, if you're buying your goat cheese, your feta, your brie, all of those cheeses in regular stores where they're not charging you a lot extra for very fancy, unpasteurized foreign cheeses, my bet is they're pasteurized. So just make sure they're pasteurized. And as long as they are, you are absolutely okay.
All right. That's good because I think all those things are so delicious.
They're delicious and you can have them and just be mindful.
Yes. Perfect. Number 5, can I exercise normally?
Yes. And what else was on your mind?
Can I have a ravenous sex with my partner?
Yes. So interestingly, I actually really do lump those two together, even though they're separate, but they're together for this purpose. Sex and exercise tend to be things that the minute people find out they're pregnant, they think, I have to stop those things. And you don't need to. Let's talk about exercise first. Exercise is excellent for you. We should all be doing, all of us, pregnant or not, male, female, it does not matter. We should all be doing 150 minutes of exercise a week, which means about 30 minutes 5 times a week. And it doesn't have to be intense. It can be gentle exercises like getting out and taking a walk. And in pregnancy, it's not only valuable for your mental health, but it's very valuable to stay leaner. It decreases the risk of high blood pressure and diabetes. It also really does help your joints stay limber. And let's face it, when you go through labor, if you choose to go through labor, and if you have a vaginal birth, pushing is an arduous process. It is truly, truly one of the most physically endurance type of activities that any of us is going to go through. So when those of us who are not in good shape, me, tried to go through labor and delivery, it was incredibly challenging. Whereas when Jenny went through it, she was very physically fit and her pushing, which still took about 3 hours, was actually much better for her. She did a better job at it than I did. So I would still absolutely exercise. The reason I lump exercise with sex is this. Sex and exercise both can put a little bit of pressure on your cervix. If your cervix looks like, we say, like a little donut, when you're pregnant, it is filled with blood supply. So things that might rub against it will cause it to spot or bleed a little bit. For example, if you're exercising and lifting things, even if you have a big, vigorous bowel movement, or if something goes into your vagina and just touches the surface of your cervix, you will bleed or spot a little bit, and that will freak you out. So I say to patients all the time, you can absolutely have sex, you can absolutely exercise. If you spot or bleed immediately after those, as a bright watery red discharge, or a day or two later as brown discharge, don't despair. It is likely from those activities. I still would advocate for you calling your doctor or midwife just to discuss it with them, but it's a very common thing.
Yeah.
What about an orgasm during sex? That's actually okay too. When you have an orgasm, your uterus contracts and it might cause some cramps. And the bigger your uterus is, the more cramps you might have because a bigger muscle might feel more intense, but it is not going to put you into labor. If God forbid, after having sex or exercising, you notice something concerning like a lot of pain or bleeding, of course, call your doctor, but rest assured you did not cause harm. Something might have happened anyway, and your activity might have precipitated it a little bit earlier, but you absolutely will not cause a miscarriage if you have sex or if you exercise.
Some people want the excuse
Yeah.
to not do either.
Right. And that's okay too. You can tell them that we said so.
Yeah. Number 4,
Mm-hmm.
what if I have some weird symptoms going on, like some pain, some bleeding, other different things that are going on in my body?
Okay, well, your body is going to start going through changes really quickly. I mean, right away, you might notice funky smells, breast tenderness, nausea. You have to pee more frequently. And this is, again, when your embryo is literally teeny. So it's not that it's physically pushing on anything, right? That said, there are a couple of times where I would advocate for you calling your doctor or midwife because occasionally these signs and symptoms could mean something that we really need to address that's medically very important. So, is it common to have some cramps, kind of like a period when you're newly pregnant? Yes, because that embryo is burrowing into the wall of the uterus. So you might notice some midline cramping, again, much like a period. If it's intense pain, especially on one side or the other, or if you have spotting or bleeding, we would typically say call the office because there are certain circumstances where those are signs or symptoms of something called an ectopic pregnancy. An ectopic pregnancy is when the pregnancy is not growing in the uterus. Ectopic means outside of the place it should be, which it should be in the uterus. So in Latin, ectopic pregnancies mean typically in the tubes. And that's not something that can be sustained. It's not actually safe. So it really is one of our medical interventions that we have to jump to quickly. While it's not something to be feared, it is something to take seriously. So spotting or bleeding or pain on one side or the other especially, call your doctor, call your midwife, and they will likely tell you to come into the office for an earlier ultrasound
Mm-hmm.
to be sure, to make sure that everything is okay.
Okay. Number 3, this leads us into another really interesting question. Why do we wait typically 8 weeks to go see our doctor for the first time?
It seems so cruel to people. Why do I have to wait 8 weeks? And again, let's remind you, 8 weeks means 8 weeks from the first day of your last period. So really, it's only 4 weeks from when you should have found out you were pregnant because, again, hopefully you waited until you missed your period, which is 4 weeks pregnant. So the reason we do that is that, honestly, if we check earlier, again, it increases anxiety because you'll walk in the door at 4, 5, 6 weeks and we won't yet be able to say anything other than, yes, you're pregnant. We did a urine pregnancy test and we see that you're pregnant, because we can't yet see the pregnancy in the uterus until at least 5 or 6 weeks is the first sign that there's a pregnancy in the uterus. And that will just be what looks like a little empty bubble, a little empty sac, we call it. And then once you get to about 6, 7, and then closer to 8 weeks, you'll be able to distinctly see the baby's heartbeat, which is how we know that baby is viable. That's how we can measure the embryo and be sure about your due date. So because we can't really be sure about that until close to 8 weeks, that's why the doctors have you wait. On top of it, and this is a sad reality, but we have to discuss these things, because we know that some pregnancies will end in miscarriage. If we wait until 8 weeks, we've given some of those pregnancies the time to declare themselves. Whereas if we have you come in right at 6 weeks, just as we're maybe able to see a little heartbeat, we all get even more excited. And it just prolongs, again, the anxiety without us being able to intervene and change the course of events. So it tends to be because of logistics. Now, that said, if I have a patient who has spotting or bleeding or pain, I will absolutely have her come in earlier. And certainly many of us, even if you just have anxiety because maybe of a past miscarriage or because of something else going on in your life, very few doctors would not allow you to come in. Just know that when you come in that early, sometimes the information they give you can be confusing because they might look early enough where they're not actually seeing the pregnancy in the uterus, and patients can be very confused by that. What do you mean? I'm pregnant, but you don't see it yet? But that's because it takes a couple of weeks for it to really show up in the uterus, okay? So that's why. It's not because your doctors are being cruel. It's because we really need to wait as long as we can before we see the good information that we want to be able to show to you.
Perfect. Number 2. Now, this is a big one. A lot of people are on medications.
Yeah.
Before they get pregnant, and then they get pregnant, and maybe they've already thought about this, but especially as we mentioned for those pregnancies that are unexpected
and unexpected, yeah.
And you're on an antidepressant or you're on a thyroid medication, you might be freaking out. What is the advice?
Yeah. So again, in a perfect world, wouldn't it be wonderful if all of us knew a couple months before we wanted to try to get pregnant so we can start our prenatal vitamin or multivitamin, so we can see our doctors to decide, these are the medications I'm taking. What should I stay on? What should I go off of? What do I need? What do I not need? So let's talk about the easy ones first. If you are on thyroid medication, you should stay on your thyroid medication. And when you see your doctor will check and make sure your thyroid level is adequate. Ideally, you'll have seen your practitioner at some point in the previous 6 to 12 months, whether it's your primary care, your midwife, your gynecologist, right? So thyroid medication, absolutely, you should stay on. Blood pressure medication, if you're taking it, ideally you'll have had a conversation with your primary care or your cardiologist or your gynecologist, whoever has put you on that blood pressure medicine, because many blood pressure medications are very safe in pregnancy, though there are a few, in particular the ACE inhibitors, that we do not continue throughout pregnancy. Now, if you're on an ACE inhibitor and you're watching this and you're pregnant, do not stop it right now. Call your doctor and talk about it with them because they will switch you, and don't be worried that you've been on it yet. Cholesterol medication, which again, in an ideal world, if a young, healthy woman is on cholesterol medication, she has had a discussion with her doctor to try not to get pregnant while she's on it. Because as you can guess, when you're growing a human, you need to be able to synthesize cholesterol. So we would take you off of that. Again, you don't stop at cold turkey. You talk to your doctor. The tough ones tend to be antidepressants. We know from great retrospective evidence that many antidepressants are completely safe. And I want to repeat that again, because there is so much anxiety with regard to taking these medications. There is so much shame still in taking them, and that's too bad. Millions of women need these medications to be able to actually function, and therefore they should take them. There's a lot in our world of what we discuss called risks and benefits of anything, right? In all of our world, but especially in medicine. The risk of being off your antidepressant medication might mean that you really are unable to function, in which case the benefits outweigh the risks, because there are small but measured risks of many antidepressants. There are very small birth defects that we can look for, and the likelihood of them happening is pretty unlikely, but there. So when a patient finds out she's pregnant and summarily quits her antidepressants without actually contacting her psychiatrist or her physician, it always makes me sad because many of these women in the early parts of pregnancy are very anxious as it is. So please do not feel that you have to stop them all of a sudden. Ideally, you'll have talked about it with your doctor ahead of time, because if you feel that you can wean yourself, that's wonderful. And if you feel that you need to continue to take it, that's equally wonderful. So don't stop all of a sudden. Don't despair. They really are very safe, but it's a conversation that you can have with your doctor and midwife.
Now, what about sort of chronic use of the Advils and the Tylenols?
Yeah. So Advil, which is we like to call them the NSAIDs. Advil and Motrin are a class of what are called nonsteroidal anti-inflammatories, NSAIDs, and that's actually ibuprofen is the generic. Many women take it because they have cramps during their period or they have cramps during ovulation. You actually can take ibuprofen during pregnancy, but you shouldn't take it in chronic around-the-clock doses, and you shouldn't take it past 32 weeks. So because those things are a little bit challenging to describe to everyone, we kind of say don't take it at all. But the truth is, if you take it occasionally, it's okay. Acetaminophen as well, you can take during pregnancy. And we say if you have a headache, we want you to take acetaminophen instead of ibuprofen. There was some recent data that the increased amount of acetaminophen people take, if they're really taking, again, large chronic around the clock doses, might increase certain issues with children, for example, ADHD, but that wasn't really proven. So again, if you need it, you take it. And that should really be our dictum with most things in medicine, right? If you need a medication, you should take it, and you should take into consideration the risks and the benefits. If you don't need something, don't take it. Getting back to when we talked about caffeine, many women will have headaches in the early part of pregnancy because they didn't watch this masterclass. They didn't recognize that they're allowed to have 200 to 300 milligrams of caffeine. They quit their caffeine cold turkey, and then they come in with headaches in that first trimester. I would rather them have a cup of coffee every single day than take acetaminophen or ibuprofen every single day. Okay?
Excellent. Excellent. Perfect. And drum roll, number 1. I'm pregnant. Everything's just going to go swimmingly, right?
Oh my gosh, I laugh swimmingly. Well, the sperm has swum. I think that one of the biggest things we really try to highlight here at Tribe Called V is what we started with. Increase your knowledge to decrease your anxiety. So we are going to talk about something that is challenging to talk about, not with an intention to increase anyone's anxiety, but to be realistic, right? So is everything going to be easy during your pregnancy? I think any of you who have been pregnant or who know anyone who has been pregnant would know the answer is no. What I think is really valuable for women to understand preemptively is that a lot of things can transpire during your pregnancy. And in that very beginning part, right when you found out you're pregnant, within that first couple of weeks, there is a small chance that this pregnancy is not going to continue. And while that is incredibly sad, I want to lead with the message of hope, which is statistics. While 20 to 30% of pregnancies may end in miscarriage, over 90% of those women who have a miscarriage will go on to have a live, healthy baby. So let us all hope that if you're watching this while you're trying to conceive, or you're watching this because you've just gotten pregnant, or you're watching this because you've just had a miscarriage, the great news is that you're going to have a baby. I promise you, and Jenny promises you. I'm living proof of that, having had many miscarriages, and yet I have 3 children. As I joke, more children than I can handle. And if you actually open up the conversation to all the women in your life, your mothers, your sisters, your best friends, your aunts, you're going to hear many of them come out of the woodwork saying, I had a miscarriage. I had 2 miscarriages, for example, so that they will actually make you feel better over what may transpire. So again, this is not meant to be an ominous, oh my gosh, this might happen. This is meant to be a hopeful, we assume your pregnancy is going to be okay, but we also know realistically that if about 1 in 5 pregnancies ends in miscarriage, the vast majority of those women are still going to have a baby.
Good news.
Messages of hope, right?
Oh my gosh, that was jam-packed, full of information, so helpful. But I think we know that there are still so many things we can talk about. We could be on this video for hours and hours and hours.
And we would. And we were.
That is why we want to tell you guys about something. We spent an entire year filming and documenting my entire pregnancy. We went through every little nitty-gritty detail.
Yes.
And it is so exciting to share with you guys that we created the Myobne and Me pregnancy program.
Yes.
And it's a digital course full of 40 modules, 40 lessons intended to be watched week by week throughout your pregnancy to go through many of the things we've just discussed, but in way more detail.
Yes, and beyond. I mean, I think it was really born from the fact that since I have been an OBGYN since 1999, I hear every single day all of these anxieties. And as you can tell, I talk fast and I talk a lot, and I am unable to actually cover every single thing with my own patients, coupled now with meeting Jenny, who is going to get pregnant. So we decided this course was the best way to really inform everyone so that we can increase your knowledge to decrease your anxiety. And now we really have completed it because we go through, as Jenny said, all the things we just talked about in that little masterclass, and probably 100 times more.
Oh, yeah.
Because we go through week by week, every step of the way of what might happen during your pregnancy. But the beauty I'm really proud of us is that we talk about these things not in a way that increases nerves and worry and fear. It really is meant to diffuse that. We can't live in a world where we say everything's going to be perfect and it's going to be an easy pregnancy, because we know it might not. But we want to address these things that are sometimes anxiety provoking, sometimes actually dangerous, but we want you to have more knowledge so that you and your doctor or midwife can have, what we always say, a collaborative experience. So we're going to be along on that ride with you as the OB and the pregnant woman. And we really feel like we have gotten so much information into this. So I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. And there's 2 parts to it.
Yeah, we're going to go into all the details actually in just a little bit. So why don't we show you just a 1-minute quick little video.
You're going to love this video. This is our initial tribe, the initial members of our live video Zoom calls that we do twice a month, who took a leap with us over a year ago. They've all birthed their babies by now, and they really got so much out of our program. So this is the part of the VIP program that you guys are going to see a little nugget of right now.
Yeah, so take a look.
I love it, you ladies keep coming back even after you had your baby.
I do have to say that thanks to you guys and this group, I do feel more empowered than I would have, let's say, if I didn't have you guys and I'm reading social media. I do want to thank you guys, all of you guys, for that.
I love that little video.
I love it. It just honestly, like, it sounds so corny. Every time I watch it, I get that little feeling where, like, I get a little bit verklempt and a little welled up, because that group of people were just so excited to be part of a membership where they got to collaborate with us, with their own doctors. This is not meant to usurp your relationship with your doctor. This is meant to enhance it. Your doctor and midwife are actually going to be so excited that you come in with amazing information that is evidence-based. And on top of it, then you have community.
Yeah, absolutely. We have such vested interest in all these women too. We went along for their journeys. I mean, it was like when we were waiting for the emails and the texts that they had given birth, because we felt like we were really a part of their journeys. And that's what we want for you guys out there that are watching this.
Yeah. So now we're going to go through what are the specifics of our program, because our program has a couple different parts to it. So you can enter at whatever point you like. So watch up.
Yep. Take a look at all the details. Hi, ladies. Okay, welcome over here. We are now going to take a deeper dive into this program that we're so excited to tell you about.
Right. We are going to tell you all the tools that you need to get all of your pregnancy questions answered, because our mantle here is that we want to increase your knowledge to decrease your anxiety, and you are in the right place because we have this great program.
Yay. Okay, here we go. What if you could find all of your pregnancy questions answered in one place? Or what if you could take one mini class every week in a fun, engaging format? Or what if you didn't have to worry about remembering and squeezing in all 8 million questions you have into a 15-minute doctor's appointment?
Because doctors are busy. If you come to the Myobne and Me program, this is what we really love. It is uniquely taught through the lens of Shiva, which is me, the OB, and Jenny, her, the me. The difference with our program versus many is that I'm a practicing physician and Jenny was a pregnant woman. That doesn't mean we're limited to only Jenny's experience, because we pepper in all the possible things that could happen. Preeclampsia, placenta previa, preterm labor. We talk about all of it, and very specifically in a way that decreases your anxiety.
Yes. So when you join the Myobne and Me pregnancy program, we will take you from feeling overwhelmed and frustrated by the immense amount and often conflicting health advice to feeling calm, confident, and in control. The sense of vulnerability that your pregnancy is a delicate state to be feared is perpetuated everywhere. Through education and lots of laughter, we will reduce your fear, improve your knowledge, and support you in understanding that you are not sick. You are simply pregnant. You and your doctor, along with Shiva and me, will collaboratively create an amazing journey.
So, what do you get and why do we care so much about our program? Why is it so valuable? We have 3 pillars, and you can join any one of these or all 3. The ebook, the video course, and the membership, which we're going to review really quickly. Again, any one of these or all 3 together.
Yes. Okay, so let's start with the ebook. The ebook is a 200+ page book written by the 2 of us, but don't get overwhelmed by that. It's written in a really easy to read format. We go over all things pregnancy and lifestyle. Our mission was to address a lot of what may occur in your pregnancy journey so you can avoid Dr. Googling and the anxiety that comes with that, because we know we all do it.
Right. So the video course that's standalone, you're going to get the ebook automatically. You're going to get immediate access to the video course, which includes 40 weekly lessons and 15 bonus videos. You're going to get access to our private Facebook group, and you get a downloadable app so you can actually watch these videos or just listen if you're in the car on the fly. They're about anywhere from 10 to 20 minute videos each. And so again, your laptop, your desktop, or your phone.
Yes. And if you join the membership, so that was the self-paced video course. This is the live membership. If you join the membership, you get 2 live Zoom calls a month with us and other guest speakers. You get, similarly with the course, you get access to the ebook and the Facebook page for community support. And of course, the same thing with the app, because as we know, if you can't make it live to these Zoom calls, you may want to watch on replay. And if that's the case, watching it through the app makes it really, really user-friendly and easy.
Yeah. So what do you get also? So let's just review. You could buy the ebook alone. You could buy the course alone, which includes the ebook, or you could buy the pregnancy membership alone, which again includes the ebook. But maybe you want everything because you want to be part of both. Well, you're going to get the bonuses as long as you buy the course or the membership. And those bonuses include pregnancy nutrition, because Jenny is a certified integrative nutrition health coach and is going to share all the things that she learned throughout the pregnancy, all those tips and tricks that helped her with her nausea, her blood sugar swings, and all of the food issues.
And fun partnership discounts. Do you want to actually read this one?
I would love to read this one because I actually love purchasing. So we partnered up with a lot of different brands, and they have really offered us exclusive discounts because they want your ear as well, and they want to help you get through your pregnancy journey. There are so much swag and stuff that you can buy nowadays that didn't occur when I was pregnant. And so it's nice to have all of these discounts.
Yes. And then our third bonus, which is my personal favorite, is the baby things list. Myself, along with 24 other women who have just birthed babies, created this very long, fabulous document of all the things. I am telling you, ladies, this is all you need to create your registry. Literally, you don't need to do any other research because we've done it all for you. And I know this list might seem a little overwhelming, but I'm telling you, we have tried, tested, found things we liked, found things we didn't like, and put it all in one list for you. So this is like super valuable.
Well, and I think that's the point. It is overwhelming. Like you go into one baby store and there's thousands of things. And so they've distilled it down. I say they, because I haven't birthed a baby in a long time, but they've distilled it down to the most salient things, and they update it all the time.
Yeah, because things change year by year by year. Yeah, for sure. Okay.
So we know, listen, this is an entire year's worth of education and support because pregnancy ends up being about 10 months long, plus the delivery and plus your postpartum. So it's worth a lot of money. But wait, let's talk about how you can pay. You can either buy, again, the self-paced video course on its own, 10 payments of $35, or one payment of $250 where you'll be saving $100. Wait till the end of the video because we will be giving you a special coupon code. And remember, you could always buy the ebook as a standalone, but that won't give you all the value of time with us.
Yes, yes. Okay, and if you do the live membership, so those are the payment options for the course. Here is what the option is for the live membership. It's a recurring charge of $35 a month. You can cancel at any time if anyone's concerned about that. And as we mentioned, even if you can't make it all the live calls, they will all be recorded on the portal for replay. So this is slightly different. The course is a one-time fee or a monthly fee. This is recurring charge that you can cancel at any time.
Okay. I want both. I love both. I want so much of you guys, right? All joking aside, if you want both, let's say you want the video course because you like studying on your own in the evenings or on your lunch break or in the mornings, or you want to listen to it as you're taking your morning walk, but maybe you also want to be part of the live membership because you really like community, you can do that. You can be part of both. You choose either payment plan for the video course, and then you'll have the option at checkout of just adding the membership. Join us. We would love to see you.
Yes, doing both together really is some serious bang for your buck, ladies.
Yes.
Okay, so now we want to go through a few testimonials because I think this really, really gets to the heart of what our program has to offer, and you can hear from women that have already gone through it. So this is Jennifer. I am finally pregnant after 4 years of infertility, including 3 rounds of IVF. I joined Myobne because after our fertility struggles, I found myself super nervous just getting through the day-to-day of actually being pregnant. I have found the program so helpful and comforting. The information is invaluable. Shiva is comforting and so knowledgeable, giving us the information we need while keeping things realistic. Jenny is so supportive and shares her personal journey so freely, which gives us an insider look on what to expect while we're expecting. It's been great as a valued support system throughout my pregnancy. Jennifer. All right.
And next is Ty. Ty says, as a first-time older SMBC, single mom by choice and pregnant during a pandemic, I didn't think there were any resources for me when it came to the ins and outs of pregnancy and what to expect on this journey. I was so wrong. By way of another pregnant friend, I was introduced to the pregnancy program, and it was everything I needed but didn't know I needed. Firstly, Jenny and Shiva are so welcoming and make you feel like family from the beginning. I enjoyed having a group of friends that were experiencing the same things I was or soon would be. It's a safe space to ask questions, get ideas, share experiences, and to just talk to other women. I've laughed, I've cried, but most of all, I found a family when I needed it most. Don't wait, join now.
We love Ty. Okay, this is Emily. I just wanted to point out that the Tribe Bible ebook is amazing. I have already started reading it, and it has decreased so many worries. It is truly better than any TTC, trying to conceive, for those who don't know, pregnancy book on the market and dreaded Google. They teach you in school that if someone sneezes on you, you will get pregnant and then a baby pops out. But so many women, including myself, go into the TTC journey so blindly. And when you find out unknown information, you want to properly educate yourself to eliminate fear. This book alone is worth every penny of the program. And I am so grateful to have found such supportive insights as I continue down this path to motherhood. Emily.
Okay. And Kate. Going through this journey after a loss in the middle of a pandemic felt so isolating and my nerves were through the roof. So I was excited at the chance to be part of a program that would not only help me feel like I had the connection I craved, but also gave me peace of mind and support, especially when the world feels so isolated and a simple Google search can send you into blind panic. This program brings you all the community, reassurance, and empowerment you need. Having knowledge at my fingertips have been my favorite part of the program. I now feel ready for this journey.
Yay. Okay, now we've got Lizzie. I think this is our last one. I joined the Myobne pregnancy program the weekend I found out I was pregnant because I was seeking additional support both from peer and medical perspectives beyond my small circle of medical professionals in my OBGYN office. It has been helpful to have a group of other supportive women experiencing pregnancy, especially during the first trimester when you really can't confide in friends and extended family. Shiva and Jenny are such a dynamic duo and provide an incredible amount of insight into this new life experience with transparency and humor, particularly for first-time moms like me. While I adore my OB and her team, I always feel like I can come to this group and ask my silly first-time mom questions, vent, laugh, and cry. Lizzie.
Oh, I love that.
Okay. So to recap.
For as little as $35 a month, I always think that sounds like less than $1 a day. So for as little as $35 a month, you get a year of support during your pregnancy journey.
Support from other women going through the same stuff.
The video course with endless education in a fun and engaging format on basically everything you might go through in your pregnancy.
The ebook giving you tons of information.
The live membership, access to us to discuss anything you want.
So as we mentioned, any combination of those things, you can make it work for what works for you.
Okay. So if you want to join and be part of our program, click the bright yellow button below in this video. And for those of you watching today, we have a really good special coupon code. We actually don't offer this much of a discount to anyone else, but if you check out with the code MASTERCLASS20, you'll get 20% off of any of the combinations of offerings. So 20% off of the monthly, 20% off of the total value, either one.
Yes. And we're just going to conclude by saying, give yourself the gift of a calm pregnancy. As we increase our knowledge, we decrease our anxiety.
That's our mantra. Join us.
Yes.
Okay.
So we have more on the other side, but hopefully this gives you all the details about our program.
Okay.
Okay, so welcome back over here, and I hope that that really explains everything that you're going to get in this program.
Yep.
It's so packed with amazing, amazing resources, information, support. It's obviously, I think it's a great program, but we know you'll think it is too.
And you know what I think is really valuable that I, again, see every day as a doctor is that people say to me every single day, but I Googled this and I Googled that. And the truth is, if you Google everything, you'll be freaked out. If you buy every pregnancy book, you are going to be laden down with too much information. Ours is the only program I think that exists right now. If there's any others, you let us know, where it's a practicing doctor who does this every day with a woman who has just birthed her baby and collaborated during the pregnancy to create this course. So it's a very bird's eye view. And anything that Jenny did not experience, we put in. We talk about gestational diabetes, preeclampsia, placenta previa, anything that might transpire during your pregnancy that you need to know about, but you need to know about it in a way that doesn't instill fear, because fear causes avoidance.
Yeah.
So we want you to have really good preemptive knowledge so that you can feel strong and safe during your pregnancy, even if any of these things occur.
Yeah. And you know, when I was going through my pregnancy, there are a lot of resources for the very end of pregnancy, labor and all the things that are going to happen. But really, that's a big deal. But that's just one little part of this huge, essentially year-long journey. And so we wanted to provide that support because for those of you that don't know, Shiva has had a waiting list to get in as a patient. And she finally had to say, sorry, I can't see new patients. And people were clamoring to get into her, to see her. I can say that. She's not going to say it about herself. But what's so great and why we wanted to create this is that now she can reach a much broader audience and really take the time to explain all the things that most doctors in a busy office simply do not have the luxury.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I don't even have the luxury of doing that in my practice as it is. We both have agreed that we love preemptive information. So one example I like to give is if I could tell every patient before she's about to have her anatomy ultrasound at 18 to 20 weeks, these are the things that you might possibly be told. Please do not freak out because here's what will happen with each of these and why they are not worrisome. Because in that moment, in that ultrasound room where you want to hear nothing but everything is perfect, if you hear these little things that freak you out, you're going to go home really anxious, nervous, scared, and then you're going to do what? You're going to Dr. Google. So one part, for example, of our ebook is where we actually delineate all of the possible things that might occur during your anatomy ultrasound that are common, that are technically abnormal, but are not something that you need to freak out about, and we tell you why. So many of our members have written to us afterwards and said, thank God, I read that part of the book beforehand, and then when I went in for my ultrasound and I was told I had, for example, a low-lying placenta or a marginal cord insertion, it didn't sound scary at all. In fact, I was the one who was telling my partner why it's not scary.
Yeah, just happened to us last week. Somebody sent an email just
exactly.
a couple days ago.
So we love that. That's the purpose. Preemptive knowledge that helps increase your knowledge to decrease your anxiety.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Okay. So now we're going to get a little sneak peek of a lot of the type of stuff we show in the course.
Yeah.
We're just going to show you a little snippet of me in my labor because
when she's pushing like stuff I get to see every day.
Yeah. And you know, it's interesting because when we were sort of designing this whole thing, Shiva has been doing this since 1999 and she sees this all day, every day. And I had to remind her that like, I feel, knock on wood, fortunate. I basically had never been in the hospital before I gave birth.
Yeah.
And I saw my sister give birth, but I really had not seen it. And she sees it every day. So she sort of forgets and takes it for granted.
I don't take it for granted.
That's the wrong word.
I absolutely love it. But to Jenny's point, I think that even just seeing this minute of you during your pushing phase, and if you like it, you can see more if you join our course.
Yes.
Watch it.
Because when we did this, I really wanted to film the whole thing and share it with everybody. So here's a little snippet. Hope you enjoy.
Enjoy.
Little stinker.
Calm before the storm.
All right, here we go. All right, let's do it.
Okay.
Yes.
Good job.
Good.
Keep going. 7, 8.
Beautiful
9.
job, Jenny.
Good job. Woo. One more time. Now deep breath. And go.
Look strong. Kids,
2.
so strong.
Awesome. 4, 8, 9, 10. Now do that. Do that one more time. All right.
Go for it. Go for it. Go for it.
He's here.
4, 5,
Keep going. Keep going.
7, 8, 9, 10.
Perfect.
Good job, Mom.
She's great. Minutes away.
Look at her.
Yeah,
Do you want to touch her?
video.
Look, there she is, right here.
That's exciting. What's ahead?
So really, so that was just a minute. I
Mhm.
mean, if y'all join our course, you are going to see, I don't know, I think we have like the 6-minute video of those last 6 minutes of when that baby girl
Last 15 minutes of like the last 5 contractions and
Yeah.
then whoosh.
right?
Yeah.
And that is like a really exciting time. When you see a baby coming out of someone's body, again, abdominally or vaginally, it is a sight to see.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So join us. 'Cause you'll see
Yes,
it.
you get
I
to
know.
watch the whole thing. Plus,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the course is sort of documenting, as we mentioned, it's the 40 modules that are lessons, but then interspersed throughout the course are bonus videos
Yeah.
of all the doctor's appointments and the various
Right.
things that we thought would be
The real
really-
things that happened.
Yeah.
During the pregnancy. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if you are enticed by what you've seen and want to join our tribe, and our tribe is so open. The only membership you need for our tribe is really your desire to want to learn more about your body.
Mhm.
So watch this quick little video because this is just going to actually go through showing you the platform and what you get.
Yeah, here's a deeper dive. Hi, everyone, and welcome to a little mini tour of the Myobne Pregnancy Program digital course. We're so excited you're here so you can take a little deeper dive into what you're going to get when you buy the course. So when you purchase, you get immediate access to the video course. And right away, you can access all of the modules, including the pregnancy guide ebook that's right here in this course introduction. All you do is click right in there, and the ebook is right there and ready for you to download. As you can see, the course is broken up into 5 sections: course introduction, pregnancy lead up and trimester 1, trimester 2, trimester 3, and postpartum course wrap up. Within each of these categories, you just click in it, and all of the videos and lessons for that trimester are right there. Throughout the sections are the numerical modules for each of the lessons that you can watch week by week or binge to your heart's content. And interspersed throughout those 40 lessons are bonus videos of Jenny's doctor's appointments, such as this one right here. When you click into each lesson, the video is right there. The bullet points of everything that's discussed in this video are listed so you can search and seek out what it is you're looking for. And then any PDF downloads that we are offering you will be right there in the video for you to download. We've filmed these videos in a podcast-esque style, meaning you don't have to watch them. You can easily listen to them, whether you're on a walk or in the car. So don't worry if you feel that you're short on time. As you're watching the videos, once they're completed, you'll get a check mark. But if you have to stop a video partway through, there's this progress bar here that's going to show you where you've left off. So you can pick up, no problem, right where you left off. We hope you've enjoyed this little deeper dive tour of the video course, and we really hope that you'll join us and watch it for yourself. Okay, and one last thing that we want to mention. For those of you out there that are thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, I don't know if I have enough time for this. My life's already really packed, and now there's a lot of videos to watch. Well, rest assured. We are so excited to tell you that all you have to do is download the free Kajabi app, which we have displayed here on my phone to show you. So all you do is download this app. And once you do, you log in using your username and password for our content, and everything's right there. So the pregnancy digital course, the VIP membership, anything that you have purchased from us will be right there. You can open it right up, and all the videos are listed right there. So easy to use. So you can listen on a walk, in the car, wherever you are. So we just wanted to mention that for those of you that are a little worried about time. Okay, so we've given you a lot of stuff here, a lot of information, but our point was to really help you understand all the elements of the program and how easy it actually is going to be to fit into your life, because we know we're all so busy, and we know some of you are thinking, oh God, I don't know if I have time to add another thing. We are here to tell you, you do, and you should.
Well, and it's so valuable and worth it. I think we wish that we could live in a world where people just needed little nuggets of information and that's it. But unfortunately, there's so much information being thrown at you all the time that if you don't actually have a program like ours, then the amount of knowledge given to you is deeply anxiety provoking. I would always love to say, as I say to you, I think that the doctors provide enough information, but I know that even my own patients who have been with me through the years and have delivered with me, those who joined our program said, even though you're so chatty in the office, Shiva, and we get a lot of information, there's no way for me to cover all of these things. And often what happens is I'm having to advise them once something has occurred, once they found out they had a finding on an ultrasound, once they found out they had preeclampsia. There isn't enough time for preemptive knowledge. And that's what we love so much, is us being able to deliver this knowledge to you preemptively so that you are not stressed out. And that really makes a big difference, right?
Oh, for sure. And
I
you
know.
know, one of the things that has made me so excited through this process, because we've been doing this sort of beta program, if you will, to, with a whole bunch of women. So many of them, when they graduated,
Yeah.
which of course means having your baby,
They birth their babies.
they birth their babies, we're like, wait, we want more.
We
and
want more
so,
time.
and this wasn't a part of our original plan, but
No.
we have created the postpartum membership, which has
Right.
just been so fun.
Yeah.
So it's a similar format, 2 calls a month. And so many of the women in our pregnancy program are now in the postpartum program. And it's just been absolutely, like, for me, it fills my cup every 2 weeks when I
Right.
see these women and we can all talk about what's going on.
Well,
It's
and
really
what's
been a
really
lot of
great
fun.
is that they all talk about their experiences in labor. So now you're getting a very live view, and not in that scary way where every single woman you meet on the street wants to be like, you know what happened to me? Instead, these women have grown and collaborated with their own physicians or their own midwives and had their experiences. And we say all the time, listen, it's not as though every single person has had an easy birth experience. Certainly, Jenny and I try to use our own bodies and our own experiences with my miscarriages, my endometriosis, my ovarian cancer, my births, Jenny's fertility workup where she had to decide that she was going to freeze her eggs and then use those embryos a decade later. So we use those experiences to help inform us on all the anxieties women have. But the beauty of our course is we explore so much more. In other words, neither of us had preeclampsia or placenta previa, but we address all of those topics, and we do it in a way that really, really, really decreases the anxiety because we don't want it to be fear-based. So we're going to tell you about our coupon. Tell them about the coupon.
We talked about it briefly a few minutes ago, but we just want to make sure that you know that if you use the code Masterclass20, you get 20% off of any of the offerings. So what that means is, obviously with the course, that is either, you pay 10 payments across 10 months or a one-time fee. You'd get 15% off of both those. But also with the membership, where it's a recurring monthly fee, you'll get 15% off every recurring fee, not just the first one.
So like, I always joke, I always love those commercials, but like, for less than a cup of coffee, which, as we've just been bantering, like a cup of coffee nowadays, I mean, you can get a regular cup of coffee, I would say, for $2 to $3. Right?
Right.
A latte, I said, runs you $3 to $5.
I said, tell me where you can get a latte for $3.
Okay, because I always like price things as form as lattes. Like, if I'm going to buy something, like, is that going to cost me a latte, 2 lattes? So if you take $35 and you minus out that 20%, that is $7 off. So that means it is $28 a month. That's like
nothing.
That's like 7 lattes, let's say, on average, right? Let's say a $4 latte. That's 7 lattes, right? And so we know that you can afford it. And more importantly, we know that you need it and you're actually going to really enjoy it. And that's what makes us like just feel so glad and everything. So we also know what else you pay for so many different things, right?
Oh my gosh. I mean, honestly, like it's amazing when you're pregnant for the first time, especially.
Right.
You just because, they're listening to us. So things come across your Instagram and
you do like this class here, that course there, that little whatever. Because we actually include, we have so many specialists that are included in our program that come on. And if you missed the live, again, it's taped.
Yeah. So like lactation consultants, therapists for mood issues.
Pelvic floor physical therapists. In the postpartum course, you have infant feeding specialists. I mean, and that's just
baby sleep.
And that's just a little sampling. And so you can watch all those videos because they're all there in the library, even the ones from this past year if you didn't. So you get what you pay for and you add all these things up. So I think everything about it to me is so valuable because the human being aspect and the humanity that we display makes me really proud. So what else do we need to tell them? That there's more to come, because even when you're done with your pregnancy and your postpartum journey, we're going to have a lot of our gynecology content where we can talk about all the things women go through. Like I always say, HPV, herpes, PCOS, perimenopause, endometriosis. Like I want to rattle them off in a casual, frequent way because I know you have all or will experience those things, and we want to keep helping you understand.
Yeah. So we hope that you come into our little world
At any point.
at any point
You
in
can join the
your
tribe.
journey, but we're going to give you resources it's going to help you for a very, very long time.
Right, because this is what we say. We want to increase your knowledge to decrease your anxiety
Yes.
across the entire length of your life. Okay,
Yes.
so join us, please.
Yes, we know you will not regret this choice.
Right, you need us, and we really need you because we like to engage and collaborate. Okay,
Bye.
bye.